In this video today, I'm going to compare the Quiet Place movies to the Medfield College franchise, as I'm calling it. What I'm talking about here is you have a movie made in 1961 called The Absent-Minded Professor, about this eccentric inventor who discovers this substance he calls flubber that is really elastable, as in it can be stretched into a lot of different shapes, as a lot of energy. He's trying to use that to save Medfield College. And a movie came out in the 90s called Flubber that's actually a remake of The Absent-Minded Professor with Robin Williams. And then there's these free movies. First one is called The Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes. Second one is called Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Third one's called The Strongest Man in the World, about these students at Medfield College who come up with these really clever inventions. I mean, the first movie is about this guy Dexter turning into a computer as a person, and then the second one is about him discovering this way to make people invisible, and the third movie is about him discovering this strength formula that can make someone super strong. First of all, when it comes to the highest Rotten Tomatoes score for each franchise, in the case of Quiet Place, highest score is a 96% for the first Quiet Place movie. For Absent-Minded Professor franchise, the highest score is a 83% for the Absent-Minded Professor from 1961. Quiet Place wins this round. Then when you look at lowest score for each franchise, what's really impressive about Quiet Place right now is that you got free movies. Lowest score is an 86% for Quiet Place Day 1, and obviously 86% is still a really good solid score. That's still certified fresh by 11%. If that's your lowest score, then you're really doing something right. In the case of the Flubber franchise, lowest score is a 24% for the movie Flubber, so Quiet Place wins this round easily. Then when you look at the average score, you can probably tell by now that Quiet Place is going to win again. It has an average score of 91, whereas with the Medfield College franchise, you have an average score of 56. And then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, there's not much of a gap at all for Quiet Place. Lowest score is 86, highest score is 96, only a gap of 10, whereas with the Absent-Minded Professor movies, gap is much higher because the lowest score is 24, highest score is 83, so you have a gap of 59 between those two scores, so Quiet Place wins again easily. Next, we're going to look at my personal opinion. Flubber is actually a movie that I used to own on VHS tape, so I definitely have nostalgia for it. And then quite a good amount of time after watching Flubber for the first time, I actually saw Absent-Minded Professor. Saw that movie not too long ago, within the last few years. And then I actually just watched both Now You See Me, Now You Don't, as well as The Strongest Man in the World, literally just this morning. Actually, not that long ago, I rewatched Flubber with a friend of mine after he moved to Montevideo, Minnesota. I really enjoy these movies. They're a lot of fun. In the case of Flubber, it's a movie that has issues. You have this main character named Philip Brainerd, who is very technically smart, but it tends to forget things, especially his engagement to this girl. At the beginning of the movie, we learn that he left her standing on the altar 3 times, and now he's getting one final chance to actually be there. He doesn't end up being present for the wedding. She's obviously mad at him about this and starts being interested in this other guy, only to discover he actually is trying to get Medfield College closed down, so she's not happy with him anymore at all. Then the movie ends in a way that's supposed to make you think, yes, this is a happy ending, everything's gonna work out well, except you're like, wait a minute, Philip isn't at the wedding again, and this is our happy ending? Seriously? This doesn't really seem like a happy ending. Part of the movie also is you have this robot who's working for Philip Brainerd, and there's a part of the movie where she creates a hologram of this beautiful woman and then goes into Philip's room. It's like, okay, this is a bit weird, but overall, I enjoy the movie. I think the scenes of Flubber are a lot of fun. I enjoy all these movies that are set at Medfield College, but don't have any of the same characters as Flubber or Absent Minded Professor. But in the case of Quiet Place, man, these are all great movies, I would say. There's not one of them that's a lot weaker than the others. Sure, with A Quiet Place Day One, I think it would have been good to learn just a little bit more about what's going on with the aliens. Not saying that we want all the mystery gone, not saying that we want everything demystified, but we could have learned a little bit more. There's a missed opportunity there, and I think there's a bit more tension when you have a woman who's pregnant and a child that are in danger. They just feel more vulnerable. Still, I think Quiet Place Day One is a great spin-off that delivers the experience that you want, but in a totally different way, because it's just not the same thing when you're in a big city like New York City versus in this farm, or it's someplace that's distant, isolated from the rest of the world where there's not a lot of people. The first two movies, they are about this family that's trying to maintain their connection to each other in the midst of a really bad situation. Whereas A Quiet Place Day One is about something different. It's about this lady who at first is rather antisocial, doesn't really have any strong connections, but then she forms a connection with this guy and thus finds peace in that, through that, in the midst of something this terrible. I thought that was really powerful, and I think that with the first two Quiet Place movies, they do a great job of having characters go on a journey. I mean, with the first Quiet Place, one of the big things it's about really is this family that lost this child, and that was really hard for all of them. We learned that the kids think that their dad, especially the daughter actually, thinks her dad is mad at her. Like, he blames her for the fact that the little boy died. But then the father makes it clear by the end, no, he doesn't blame his kids. And in the end, he sacrifices himself so they can live. Then in Quiet Place Part 2, you have this character played by Cillian Murphy, who at first is so jaded. He's just completely cynical because all he's seen is the world being devastated by these aliens. He doesn't think there's any light left, there's any hope left. But then through meeting these people, he actually has hope again, which he didn't have previously. So I would say that as much as I enjoy the Medfield College movies, I think I would choose the Quiet Place movies over them. That'll be it for this video.